Are you looking for the perfect gift for that special Yu-Gi-Oh player in your life? Well, look no further, because in this video, I'm going to give you some amazing suggestions for Yu-Gi-Oh gifts at every price range. What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, and welcome back to another Yu-Gi-Oh video. We're officially in the holiday season, and whichever holiday you celebrate, there's always one thing that feels really good, and that's going to be gift giving. Showing your appreciation for someone through a well thought out gift can mean the world to some people, but let's be honest, it's really hard to shop for Yu-Gi-Oh players. So today I'm bringing you the ultimate Yu-Gi-Oh gift guide for the 2023 holiday season. I've got a ton of options for different players and even at different price points. So if you're excited for this 2023 holiday gift guide, or if it helps you out in any way, then make sure to smash the like button, and of course make sure to share this channel with the person you're giving the gift to. Also, if you like deck profiles, combo guides, meta discussions, competitive Yu-Gi-Oh, or just Yu-Gi-Oh videos in general, you're gonna love this channel. So make sure to subscribe and help us reach our end of year goal of 4,000 subscribers. That being said, here's the ultimate Yu-Gi-Oh gift guide for the 2023 holiday season. Let's jump into it. So to help you choose the perfect Yu-Gi-Oh gift, we have to find out a few different things. The first of which is going to be, what type of Yu-Gi-Oh player are you giving a gift to? There are many different categories of Yu-Gi-Oh players, but we're going to generalize just a little bit and keep it at 3 different categories. They're going to be casual, competitive, and the collector. A casual player will be a player who's new to the game, or even just a child starting out. Now, most of the time, they're not looking for necessarily the best cards in the world, but they are looking for a deck that's going to be playable, fun, and that'll help them learn the game as well. Competitive players want to take the game to the next level and try and compete at events and try to win their matchups. They do this by building the most optimal and consistent decks they possibly can. There are tons of different types of competitive players, but for the time being, we're going to lump them all into one category, being just the competitive player. And finally, there are collectors. Now, collectors don't necessarily have to play the game. They still can, of course, but what they're really interested in more than anything else is collecting history of the game itself and, of course, shiny cardboard. We also have to figure out what kind of price range you're looking at. One of the most important parts of gift giving is making sure you're actually going within the budget that you can afford for the gift. So for that reason, I have 3 different price categories for you guys. I have a $15, $30, and $60 suggestion for each of the different types of Yu-Gi-Oh players. Also, I want to preface this by saying that I have no affiliation with any of the brands that you're going to hear in this video, and honestly, it's less about the brand itself and more about the actual kindful act of giving a gift to someone. So let's go ahead and get started with our $15 price range. For a casual player at the $15 range, I highly recommend getting them a structure deck. Now, a structure deck is about $10 to $15 depending on your currency, but what actually is it? Essentially, it's going to be a pre-packaged set of cards. We know exactly what is going to be in here. It's actually listed on the back of the structure deck itself. That's meant to help teach the player how to play the game. They usually contain a bunch of really powerful cards that have been reprinted to be able to make them more accessible for all players. On top of that, the deck itself is a cohesive strategy that is meant to be able to teach these players the game itself, while also being able to give them something to build on as well. There are 2 different structure decks that have released within the past 2 months. They are the Crimson King structure deck and the Fire King structure deck. Now, honestly, of these 2 structure decks, if you have to choose one of them to give, I would recommend giving out the Fire King one. The reason why is the Fire King structure deck itself has a lot going for it. It's reprinted a ton of really useful cards that'll help the player in case they decide to become a more competitive player. But on top of that, the strategy in the card itself is actually a lot easier to use than the one in the Crimson King strategy, in my opinion. And honestly, I think it requires fewer cards to add to the strategy to become an even better deck. Now, you can get these almost anywhere, Walmart, Target, whatever, but I highly recommend that you go to your local card shop in your area and ask them if they have access to these. Usually they'll be at a better price, and on top of that, you're supporting an actual local business that is where we're going to be able to play these games. The local card shops are so important to the Yu-Gi-Oh community, so I highly recommend that if you do go and get any of these gifts and you can, try going to a local card shop first, especially for product. For the competitive player, my suggestion for the $15 price range is going to be sleeves. Yep, something as easy as sleeves is a great gift. Now, you might be saying, why? Why are we giving them cards? Look, most competitive players are going to go out and get whatever cards that they want for their deck with their own income, assuming that it fits within their budget. But there's one thing that's really important here. Every single Yu-Gi-Oh player needs sleeves for various different reasons. The most important of which is going to be it keeps our cards clean. We go through so many different sleeves in a competitive season that having access to sleeves is amazing. Now, most of the time, a Yu-Gi-Oh player will have a specific sleeve they like for a certain deck or they use exclusively. For example, my favorite sleeve is the matte black Dragon Shield sleeves that are the Japanese size. Now, it's very important here. Every single person has a different taste, but one thing that's very important to note is to figure out what kind of sleeves do they like. Do they like a specific color like I like the black sleeves, or do they want a specific finish, whether it's going to be matte or glossy, or do they care about the brand itself? Some of the best sleeves on the market right now are going to be your Dragon Shields, your Ultra Pros, and your Team Samurai X1 sleeves. Now, what's very important to note here is that you should just ask your loved one what kind of sleeves they like, because most of the time they end up having a very specific thing they do. For example, I use exclusively black sleeves with pink sleeves. That's all I use. When buying sleeves, though, the most important thing is going to be to get the right sized sleeves. You really want to make sure you're getting the Japanese sized sleeves for a Yu-Gi-Oh player. And the reason why is because Japanese style sleeves are smaller right now than a standard size sleeve, because Yu-Gi-Oh cards are by nature smaller than Pokemon cards. So make sure to get a Japanese Japanese-sized sleeve. Moving on to the collector at the $15 price range. Now look, collectors are usually looking for cards that have a very specific aspect to them. Either they're super shiny versions of notable cards, or they're cards from Yu-Gi-Oh's infancy that have a really nostalgic or old school effect, or even cards that are exceptionally rare in general, including cards that are misprinted. The problem is it's very hard to find a card that fits these parameters at the price range that we're looking at, but there is a pretty good alternative. That's going to be packs. Yeah, if you get 3 packs at $4 to $5 each, that's well within your budget of $15, and that's great. Booster packs in general are a great gift for so many different players. There's about 9 cards on average within each pack, including 1 holographic card. And there's always a chance of pulling what's called a quarter century rare nowadays, which is the new rarity that Konami introduced to celebrate 25 years of Yu-Gi-Oh! And it is super shiny, and people in the collector's market would love it. If you're gonna go this route, I highly recommend one of these 3 options. The first of which is going to be Age of Overlord. This set is one of the best of all time, it has a ton of notable cards in here, and on top of that, there's always the possibility of pulling that quarter century secret rare, which is always going to be really good. Because there's so many good cards that can be possibly opened in this pack, there's a huge amount of people that are searching for all these cards, meaning they're looking to make trades for those cards for other cards that they might have, which might interest the collector quite a bit. My second suggestion is going to be the 25th anniversary rarity collection. Now this set is one of the best of all time as well, but for a different reason. It released no new cards to the game. But what it did do is it made every single card that's in the set available at every rarity. And there's 6 different rarities. 3 of them are luxury rares, and they're very shiny. So I would highly recommend that you look at this here as an option for your collector that you want to give a gift to. This final option is great for someone who likes the nostalgia factor of Yu-Gi-Oh! Or old school Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards in general. To celebrate 25 years of Yu-Gi-Oh!, Konami has re-released 5 sets from the early 2000s. They are Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon, the first set ever, Metal Raiders, Spell Ruler, Invasion of Chaos, and Pharaoh's Servant. Now these sets originally came out over 20 years ago, and they are pretty expensive for the original copies, but anyone who likes this old nostalgia cards are going to love these as a gift. From what I've seen, most people are preferring the Legend of Blue Eyes White Dragon as the pack itself, but it's also really hard to find nowadays as well, so honestly, any of these 5 options are going to be great. Now let's move on to our $30 price range, starting off with the casual player once again. Now for the casual player, I still recommend getting them a structure deck. Now it can be a different structure deck than the one they already have, because they can take cards from that structure deck and incorporate into their strategy they have already to make it at least a little bit better and be able to accomplish a bit more what the game plan tries to do. Now, one of the reasons why I still recommend this is because most casual players tend to really like getting new cards. They don't appreciate or understand why accessories are so important to the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. I also recommend getting them a Mega Tin. Now, a Mega Tin is a product that has 3 different packs inside, 3 big packs called Mega Packs. Why are they called Mega Packs? Well, there are 18 different cards in them, twice as much as a usual pack. There are also 5 holographic cards guaranteed in each pack right now, which is great. What's even better than that is that all these cards were released within the past year or so they're all still pretty new and have a lot of utility in today's game. Another reason to get the tin is that in these tins, the first thing you're going to do when you open up this thing is going to see that there's going to be a promo card in there. This promo card is one of 16 different options right now, and it comes in the new quarter century rarity, which is super shiny, and whoever you're getting it for is going to absolutely love it. And finally, these tins are great to use for storage as well. You can fit a ton of cards in here that are just not being used in the deck right now. Each tin is about $15 to $20, so this plus a structure deck, you're going to be right at your $30 budget. Moving on to the competitive player at the $30 price range, my recommendation is going to be another accessory. That's going to be a deck box. Now, not every player has a good quality deck box, and it's a very important part of what a player needs because it keeps your cards safe and secure. There are a ton of different options in this price range. You can range from the plastic ones that come like a pack of 5, or you can go to something that's a bit more straightforward, a single deck box, or even you can go to the big behemoths that carry 2 different decks and have accessories in there and everything like that. Honestly, it really depends on what you're looking for. Some popular brands for deck boxes are going to be Ultra Pro. This is going to be your standard plastic deck box. It's kind of just a good catch-all, and all the way up to something more premium like Ultimate Guard, which is one of the best deck boxes on the market. Their products are great quality, they last a long time, there's a ton of cool designs on them as well, but because of the brand itself, you're paying a bit of a premium for that too. So for that reason, I actually go ahead and use this one over here. This is a $30 deck box that I got off of Amazon, $30 Canadian, I should say as well. So it's going to be within your budget for sure if you're US. I'm going to link it down below. It's great because there are 2 different slots to hold your decks in, and they also come out of the slot itself too, which is great. And on top of that, there is a small accessory here, which is going to hold your dice, tokens, whatever the case might be. So this over here is great for any Yu-Gi-Oh player. Having 2 different deck boxes is really nice. I would highly recommend this as an option, and it definitely fits within your budget. Now, if you can't go and want to get this one, if you don't want this one here, you want a single side deck box, then I would recommend something like the Ultimate Guard Sidewinder. This is just a standard 1-deck deck box that you can get off of Amazon as well for about that $30 price range. For the collector at the $30 price range, I'm going to recommend a nice binder. Now look, Yu-Gi-Oh players use binders for so many different reasons. We use them for having cards we want to keep separate and organized, to even housing cards we want to potentially trade as well. But what every binder does is so important. It keeps your cards safe. Everyone needs that. Now look, when I say binder, I don't mean a 3-ring binder that you get from Staples. I mean like an actual binder meant for cards. You use one of these things to hold cards, and they have like specific pockets there meant to hold cards of different sizes. One of the most popular brands is going to be Monster, the one I have here in my hand, but I also recommend this one over here as well, because Monster is going to use up the majority of your budget here. If you go with this one over here, I got this off of Amazon. It costed me less than $15 Canadian, and the link is going to be in the description for it. Honestly, it's a fantastic option. There's really no big difference between these two. This one is a bit more durable, I find, but at the end of the day, it's a fantastic choice. And of course, because this one here is only $15, it means you can get another gift from one of the $15 tiers as well. Now, Konami does come out and release their own types of binders as well, and that's going to be these ones over here. They're fine, they get the job done. They kind of deteriorate a bit quicker, I find, than the other ones, so this is an option, but again, less high quality than the ones I've shown you already. Moving on to our final price tier at $60, and starting off with the casual player. Now listen, if I'm a casual player, I'm new to the game, I've learned at least a little bit, this specific gift is going to be crazy for them. They're going to have everything they need to really start their Yu-Gi-Oh adventure, which is honestly everything that a kid can ask for. So what am I going to recommend? Well, I'm going to recommend not just one or two, I'm going to recommend 3 structure decks of the same one. The reason why I'm recommending 3 of them is because in these structure decks, there are the exact same cards. So you can build a competitive, viable, but also consistent deck that's going to allow the person to just go and do the game plan and play the game as it was intended. Now, we've already established that each structure deck costs about $10 to $15, but I'll be honest with you, one of these structure decks, if you're in the States, for example, is going to cost you around $10, $11 plus tax, which means that you have room for other things in your budget. So I'm also going to recommend not 1, but 2 different colors of sleeves. One for your main and side deck, and one for the extra deck. Now, we have to be able to separate these cards. They have to be differentiated, so I'd recommend 2 for that reason. Personally, I use my black mats for my main deck, and I use my pink mats for my extra deck. Moving on though, because you might have $5 left over, you can get them a very straightforward plastic deck box. Now these ones go for $5 or less, $3 even. I would recommend one of these because, let's be honest, it is better to hold cards in a deck box than to keep them in a plastic bag like I did when I was a kid. So get them a deck box instead, please. It'd be great for them, and it's only $3. For the competitive player at the $60 price range, I recommend a playmat. Yeah, another accessory for the competitive player. Look, we buy our cards. I'm a competitive player, I'm not a collector, but I play the game to try and win the game as well, and I get most of the cards that I need. So getting access to a mat from a family friend, a loved one, whatever the case might be, will be a great gift because I wouldn't actually go and shop for this myself. I don't feel like I need it. But a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh players really do enjoy them. Now, what is a playmat? A playmat is a mat that you actually play the game on. The reason why you do it is to enhance the Yu-Gi-Oh experience. You feel the cards a bit better. It just feels more authentic to play the game on a mat. The price of playmats can vary quite significantly. I've seen playmats that range from like $30 all the way up to over $100 for some custom playmats. But honestly, if you can find a good quality playmat, usually with something that has to do with Yu-Gi-Oh, it's going to be really appreciated by the person that's receiving the gift. Now, I'll be honest as well, this may not come up to the full $60, and if it doesn't, you want to spend a little bit more, you can get them a playmat tube, which is just a tube that has the ability to hold their playmats inside them and keep them safe and clean. That's really it. It's a great option for a gift for any player. Moving on to our final category in the $60 tier, we have the collector. Now, what are we getting the collector for $60? Now listen, this is a great gift. I would love this gift, but it also ruins the surprise. So it's not for everyone, I understand that. But one of the things I would recommend is going to be to ask them to go to tcgplayer.com with you or any other favorite online card shop retailers and be able to just say, put $50 worth of cards into your box and your cart and then just buy those cards. The reason I say 50 and not 60 is because there's going to be shipping and tax, all that stuff. It comes out to be a little bit more expensive, I find, when you buy online rather than buying in store. But either way, this is great because it helps them actually achieve what they want to. They collect what cards they want to have access to, or they buy a card they wouldn't necessarily buy for themselves. It's a great gift to have, but it doesn't actually allow you to surprise them, which is a little unfortunate, I'm not going to lie. Now, while there isn't actually a surprise, my wife did actually come up to me and say, listen, what do you want for your birthday? I said, do you want to just buy a couple cards for me? We'll go to the online shop and figure out what I want to get. And that's what she did. And honestly, it wasn't a surprise, but it was a great gift and it was super appreciated nonetheless. And this can be done at any price point for any type of player, but honestly, I'd recommend that you keep it mostly for the collector or the competitive players so they have a bit more knowledge about the game. Just a reminder, I highly recommend doing your Yu-Gi-Oh shopping at one of the local card shops in your area. Not only are these card shops super important to Yu-Gi-Oh as a whole, but they foster a sense of community for us players, and they're in a way our Yu-Gi-Oh family, so they're really important. Any support you can give them is super appreciated. But there you have it. The ultimate Yu-Gi-Oh 2023 holiday gift guide is looking like this over here. Now, I do want to say that any of the gifts on this grid over here can be moved around and given to different types of players. Just because your loved one is a competitive player doesn't mean they won't enjoy opening a few packs. But anyways, if you enjoyed the video or you found your gift idea here, then make sure to leave a like on the video and of course share the video with a friend to help them out too, or even just to the person that you're giving the gift to as well. And if you haven't already, consider subscribing to the channel for more amazing Yu-Gi-Oh content and of course help us reach our end of year goal of 4,000 subscribers. Thank you all for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a happy and safe holiday season and I will see you all next time.